And we're live here at the station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neal, and joined by the returning Laurence R. Harvey of the Human Centipede 2 and 3, and all kinds of, like a million movies lately. It's very
Yeah,
cool to have you back and to see you being so busy.
yeah. It's been very busy. It's just it's a lot of low budget British stuff, or short films which never get seen outside of festivals. So yeah.
That's an interesting topic because I love going to festivals and I see a lot of great shorts.
Yes,
And there's starting to be some platforms where they go, but it's very limited where they can go after the festival, and that's always disheartening to me because there's a lot of really good stuff out there.
yeah. I mean, whenever the shorts on Prime or Shudder or something that uh, that pop up on there, I make sure to watch them because I think that's a perfect place to watch them. If you're streaming on one of those platforms that has lots of films that you've seen or lots of films
Yeah.
that you already own on Blu-ray or DVD. So yeah, it's a great place to see shorts.
Yeah, I'd really
And
think someone needs to capitalize on that, I think, because there's a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't get to all the platforms.
well, I remember when I was in New York promoting Human Centipede 2, the hotel that we stayed at had a, I think it was a streaming channel, or a subscription channel that just showed short films. So yeah, I don't know what happened to that. I can't remember the name of the channel, but
Yeah. And then, sometimes they get collected into anthologies.
yeah, I mean, but that's an issue, isn't it? With because anthologies, I think if it's a collection of shorts, you can tell it's a collection of shorts,
I
and the thing that binds them together has to be really strong in order to make it work. But yeah.
Yeah, I had a conversation with newest member of the show, AJ Cutler, about that because I agree with you. I think like Creep Show, Tales from the Crypt, like they were made to play together,
Yeah, yeah,
as opposed to and sometimes I watch one where it's a collection of different shorts, and it's still fun to watch, but you could tell they weren't made together. That there's no real connection to them.
yeah. I mean, anthologies where you've got different teams, different production teams doing different things can work if there's an overall idea and a consensus. But often, too often you get an anthology film where it's such a mishmash of things and tones and styles that it doesn't quite work. And with every anthology film, there's going to be some stories you like and some stories you don't like. But if the overall film feels disjointed and doesn't flow correctly, then that's also an issue. So,
Yeah. And by the way, I really like the El Santo shirt. Is that from one of his movies?
it's yes, it's I can't remember which one it is. El Santo versus the Monsters, I think. But
Oh, very nice. I have El Santo mask somewhere. I don't have one here. I do have a Mil Mascaras mask, but no El Santo mask here with me, unfortunately. Are you a fan of those movies, like the Mexican luchadors versus monster movies?
yeah. Well, I love that kind of like fantasy horror. I mean, it's more fantasy than horror, but yeah, that kind of the way that it mixes up those different genres with wrestling or with police work and stuff. So yeah.
We get a lot of people here. Dustin Ants, Neal and Lawrence, good to see you, beautiful fellers. Hope you're having a great day. Well, thank you, Dustin.
Thank you. Yeah.
We got Troy here in the chat room. Hello, terrible Troy. I
Hi,
noticed.
Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you said Troy too. The
Yeah.
first time we met in person was with Troy.
Yes. Yeah.
It was at Days of the Dead.
In Atlanta,
Yeah, yeah.
my first American convention.
I know we've talked a lot about it, and but what was that like for you to do your first convention? After this crazy movie, and it's your first convention in the United States.
Uh, well, the thing was, I met so many great people, yourself included, obviously. Yeah. but Bill Moseley, Sid Haig, and
Hmm.
really took me under the wing, and Barbara Crampton as well. It's just a lovely, lovely person. And then also met the craziness that is the Dear God No Gang,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
which we later worked on Frankenstein Created Bikers together.
Hmm.
So that's good.
But I don't think conventions were ever the same with once Sid left us, because he was just a huge part of the convention scene
Yeah.
for like the talent and the fans alike. And I think he also kept a lot of people in line. Like if people went a little crazy with their prices, he would be like, you shouldn't, do that to the fans. And I think it's a lot different without Sid around.
Yeah, he had a real work ethic. He'd always be like the first to set up and the last to leave as well, because he always believed that you should, if you're there to be available for signings and so on, you should stay until the last person's gone. So
Yeah. So I want to talk about some of your new stuff, but I do want to say, because I didn't actually notice when I set this up, but it's the 10th anniversary of Human Centipede 3. So looking back 10 years later, do you think that was the right way to finish the trilogy, that movie?
I think it's gotten strong. Well, first of all, I like the fact that the Human Centipede films aren't a franchise in the sense that each of the films is very different
Mm-hmm.
and a different way of pace, different setup and so on. Even though the basic premise is joining people ass to mouth kind of thing, as a kind of form of
Yeah, it's
experiment.
definitely not like they're not this similar movies, and I think each one actually, even though there are fans of all of them, they do each separate one has like its own fan base.
Yes, yeah, and it's always interesting to find people that love 3, because usually that's the one that people don't like because it's a
Uh-huh.
comedy, and because there was such a big amount of time between 2 coming out and 3 coming out, and I think a lot of the satire in 3 was before its time, whereas I think post Trump, with all the flag hugging and the Germanic guy who's saying I'm more American than
Right.
yeah, Eric Roberts is governor. All of that is just spot on for Trump, but it was before
Yeah,
before.
that's interesting because I haven't really watched it again since like the rise of Trump. I should rewatch it again with that in mind because those are really good points.
Yes, yeah, no, it's somebody wrote a breakdown of like how the first one is about an actual Nazi, the second one's about an incel, and the third one is Trump. So and yeah, so I sort of went back to look at it and it's yes, the third one is Trump. I'm not sure about the other. Well, I mean, Dieter said that his version of Dr. Heiter was based on
Hmm.
Joseph Mengele, but I don't think. I mean, Martin's more of a fanboy than an incel, I guess. But,
Yeah, that's more what the movie is about, I would say. But
yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting when people look at, especially or something you've been in, and have different interpretations.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like the ending of part 2. There's so many different interpretations of that. I always like the one where somebody suggested that Martin dies when the centipede goes up his bum, and then the ending is just him going to his happy place as he's dying, kind of thing. Whereas other people just see it as it was all a dream, kind of thing. I don't think it was all a dream. But I kind of like that Martin's dying and thinking of his happy place. So there we go.
Yeah, it's a happy ending in a way for Martin. Was there ever talks to do a part 4 at any point in time, like when you're doing part 3 or since then?
No, no. Um, Tom toyed with the idea of doing a human caterpillar film. With
Oh,
the
that is a good scene in the movie, honestly.
with that scene from part 3. Yeah. So yeah. I think because of the three dogs at the beginning and the three people in the first film, it sort of made sense to do three and out, I think. You know?
Yeah, and each one kind of eats the other one.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Because the previous film is a film within the world of the film you're watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in when you do like, because they do the screenings now. Sometimes, you know, the full Centipede. I know you've seen all the movies and you're in, you know, two of them, so I don't know if you sit and watch them. But what is that like to watch one after the other? And what is like the fan like? Because they're completely different. So I think like the reaction is different while you're watching them.
Well, I mean, there was a screening recently in Manchester where they screened, you know, Tom's cut of all three together.
Yeah. So is that different? Is that different than if you just watch all three?
Slightly. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, there's no credits at the end of parts 1 and
Oh, so
2.
they're not like broken up. You're going one into the next one.
Yeah. It's edited to flow seamlessly into the next one. So yeah. So those transitions were interesting for me to watch, and it was great to see part 3 again, just because it'd been a while since I'd seen it. So,
yeah, like I said, I'll be honest. You know, it's not my favorite of the three, so I would be interested to watch it again myself to see like if I see different things and take it a different way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think you know, a lot of people watched it when it came out, and obviously it wasn't what they wanted. So just dismissed it, and I think I think it's worth going back to. I think it's a stronger film than I thought it was the first time I saw it. Anyway,
well, that's interesting. That yeah, because I know we've talked a lot about the movie on and off airs.
I mean, I think it has, you know, its weaknesses, but you know, at the same time, it is really interesting, and it is, you know, it has its own qualities, I think.
Yeah. And what is the fan reaction while you're watching them? Because, like we said, they're so different. But at the same time, it's people there who are fans of the three movies. But like the first movie, is it movie like I think you really audibly react to for a lot of it, and the second one you could, and then the third one's so different.
Yeah, I think what I always like watching people react to the second one, because that's the one that turns people's stomachs. I mean, and somebody walked out of it in when we were filming in Manchester. It got too much. So, but and then I think some left during 3 because trains to get home, and it's like, yeah, I'm not really into 3, so yeah. So, yeah. But other than that, you know, most people stayed for all 3, and yeah, I think I was surprised at how there was squeamish reactions to certain scenes in 3, even though it's played more comedically. So yeah, I mean that's always interesting. So
the 2 is so much different when you watch with an audience, because I watched it by myself like the first time, and I really thought it was a very dark movie. And then like when I watch with an audience, because people are reacting to it, and you were there in person, so like people, and you yourself reacted, and it's like a different experience because people are like cheering for like a lot of other weird scenes, and I saw more of the dark humor in it, watching it with an audience. Which I could say for a lot of movies, though, I guess. Even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I always thought... And it still is dark, but as I got older, I see a lot of the comedy in the movie. The second one's an overt comedy, but even the first one, there's a lot of dark comedy in it.
Yeah. I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for that. It's and also the fact that it's very much about a... it's almost like a treatise on creativity for non-artists, outsider art, I guess. Well, it begins with the photography, and then it moves into the house, which is full of these sculptures and furniture made out of animals' bones and stuff. So
that's it's actually an interesting thing too, because both the Hitchhiker and the and Leatherface are artists in their own right, or at least they're trying to be.
Yeah.
So. I know it's not about them, but I always think that a lot of these later ones really missed the point of the original like one or even the second one, where it's about the family, and they just fixate on Leatherface, which really isn't that interesting of a character by himself.
Yeah, yeah. He only works within the context of the family, really. How he's the picked upon one by the rest of the family.
Yeah, he's the most dangerous, really, but also like the subservient one within the family.
Yes, yeah. But it's also that thing of like somebody that's picked upon lashing out at outsiders, so it's that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that one. Any memories you'd like to share with Dieter Laser? Obviously, a big part of this show, and we've done Human Centipede stuff throughout, last decade here on the show, and a big part of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I was gutted when when I heard about his passing. It was, all the times that we've been to conventions together and so on. And he was so gracious when Human Centipede 2 came out, and he sort of came up to me and grabbed my hands and said, "You did a marvelous job."
That's interesting because the first one really is like his movie, so for someone to completely take over the second one with a different villain, someone might not take well to that. So.
Yeah, but the film's so different, and the character's character.
Yeah, it's not like someone else is playing Dr. Hyder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. Yeah.
But that's good to hear. He was always very, very nice to me.
Yeah, no, he's lovely. It's just, he's just very passionate about acting.
I could see that, good and bad. Very passionate for stuff that he's very positive about, and I could imagine it would work the same for something that he may be negative on.
Yes, yeah. I think if you disagreed with him,
yeah. So I can see that would be very difficult at the same time.
So apologies, I'm having some dental work done, so I got half my.
Oh, okay.
Up here, so yeah.
Did you get in a fight or anything, or?
No. It's just hadn't been to the dentist for about 13 years, and then they said, these teeth are dead, but we're gonna have to take them out and then leave it for a month or two before we.
Oh yeah, put in the
bridge to replace it. Yeah. So yeah. So that's my.
I thought you were a method actor for a new role. You're like, we'll take this.
Yeah. It's been beaten up. Yeah.
So, do you still stay in contact at all with Tom Six?
I mean, I haven't been in touch with him for ages. Somebody from TerrorVision got in touch because they were trying to find out who owns the rights to the soundtracks, because they're thinking about putting out the soundtracks. I think they tried to be in, get into contact with Tom, but I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if they got because Ilona's more on social media at the moment because she's doing her sort of advice network for up and coming producers.
Yeah, she contacted me about a movie Without Your Head movie we're making, Arbor Day, out of the blue, and I think it was she's contacted a lot of people, but at first I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea that she's doing it, but yeah, so I don't know whether TerrorVision got in touch with her or not. Wait and see, I think. So.
Yeah, and with there's so many toys out there of even horror movies I wouldn't think they'd ever be toys. Like there I could definitely see a market for some more Human Centipede stuff out there. Yeah,
but I think it's because it's been so long since the films came out. I don't know. I mean, occasionally, Human Centipede 2 gets a bump because of all these most disturbed movies, icebergs, and so on, or it'd be a trend on TikTok for a minute or two. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and have you ever seen the Onania Club?
Funko Pop of Martin and
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, we definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you seen the Onania Club?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, very few
Um,
people have.
yes, I yeah, I was promised a look, but it hasn't yet appeared.
Yeah, I know some people that have tried to buy it, to distribute it. But from what I understand, he wants a good amount of money for it. So hopefully it gets released at some point.
Yeah, I think that's kind of because of how he funds his films, how it's like private
Hmm.
individuals backing it.
Right.
So he's going to make a return for them. So it needs a
Yeah.
certain wider release than just putting it on a small boutique label Blu-ray release
Hmm.
of a couple of thousand. So
Yeah. 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 So I've seen Artifacts of Fear by my friend Rusty Apper, with which you were in. Very fun
yes.
movie. And so, how did you get involved in it?
Well, Rusty moved to Wigan and got in touch. We've got a mutual friend, a couple of mutual friends in common, and yeah, and it was just it wasn't paid, but it was kind of local. So I didn't really know Rusty, so I thought I'd do it just to meet him and see what it is. And yeah, I was kind of impressed by the finished film.
Yeah.
It looks like it was made with more money than it was, which is always
Yeah.
a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So
Uh,
yeah, I have many
and
friends, on that level, and I won't call them out, but various degrees of success, making a really low budget movie and still making it, look good, like a movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's certainly watch. You're not sort of looking at your watch all the time. It certainly it maintains your interest, and it, it's an anthology film, so like
Yeah.
some of the stories are more better than the others, but at least it's got that continuity of like it's the same director and it's the same feel to all the stories. Yeah. And it's got that kind of like old fashioned like Hammer House of
Yeah.
Mystery TV series kind of feel to it. It's kind of got that kind of quality about it. So yeah.
And was there any chance like there'd be a sequel or like more of them or maybe even a series?
He talked to me about being involved with a found footage film, but it was like, "Are you interested?" And again, there was no money, so I just I thought, and he didn't know when he was going to film it, so I just thought I'd leave it in his court, and if it gets closer to the thing, I'll decide then. But yeah, so maybe I'll be working with Rusty again. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
So since you brought up a few times, money, like there's so many platforms now, like more movies are out there and all these platforms, but money wise, what is it like, to make these? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of income coming in through independent film.
well, yeah. This is one of the issues. I think the low budget sort of British scene. I think people like Liam and Laurie Brewster at Hex Media and so on. I think
Yeah.
they've taken the right route of keeping the sales rights to themselves, maybe licensing it to like America, but for keeping it for the UK and Europe, keeping it here, and then doing their own Blu-ray, like nice like boutique Blu-ray releases themselves. That's why Liam set up the Refuse Films Blu-ray. Luckily he's got ties of Troma, so he's got some library titles from Troma that has been released. So yeah, but I think, and also I think Liam's expanding that. I mean, there was talk of Rib Spreader, the Australian film that I've got a brief cameo in. Uh, um, talk of him releasing that. So yeah.
And that's Liam Regan for people who don't know. Really talented, really nice guy. Uh,
Director of Eating Miss Campbell and My Bloody Banjo, or
mhm.
Banjo as it.
Yeah, I don't know why it was
Also,
shortened in the States, I believe. But yeah, My Bloody Banjo. And that's where I first started talking to him. And I know from that movie, he was open about it. He was pretty depressed by, not really making money on it. So that what led him to, doing his own distribution company.
yeah, but I think it's been a learning curve for him on looking at rights to films and so on. I know he's been helping out interference films with rights to some films as well, because they were the ones that put on the Human Centipede trilogy in Manchester. So yeah.
And so, yeah, I was at Fright Fest when Eating Miss Campbell premiered, and
Right. Yeah.
it had a great turnout. There's a lot of people there, and Fright Fest. So. Have you had a chance to see it with an audience?
Yes, I went to not Rotterdam, the Butt Festival, wherever that is.
The Butt Festival.
It's beneath the underground, or B movies.
Oh, I see.
B movies, underground, and trash film
I
festival.
like the name. I thought it was just a festival about butt movies. I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Well, yeah. So that Yoko Ono film on it's just the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine won the Dick Fest, Dick Award, because that's an award just for films about penises. But
What's a trophy for that like?
it is a dick.
I probably shouldn't even have asked. I assume that it would be kind of a letdown if it was something. It's a star. I'd be like, oh, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah.
Well, Trashorama and Dick Dale, who directed Rib Spreader, also runs this film festival called Trashorama, and they have the Lomax Award because it's
Oh, nice.
in honor of Martin, which is a golden penis with barbed wire wrapped around it. So there you go.
Did you get to keep anything from Human Centipede 2, like the barbed wire or anything like that?
No, didn't get to keep a thing. In fact, they collected the scripts and the costume stuff, put it in a wheelbarrow and burnt it.
Oh wow!
Well, because they didn't want anything leaked because of.
Oh, I see. That's true.
Part one was still a big, talking point at the time. So yeah, they just didn't want anything leaked.
Mm-hmm. What did your friends and family think of you being in Human Centipede 2?
Half my friends said, were happy that I got the film, but weren't going to watch it because they didn't do gory films, and others were sort of thrilled, and loved the film. So, family, family is always like, great, you got paid, but yeah, they're always slightly embarrassed.
Well, I would be proud. I'm proud.
About anything I'm in, pop video or an advert or whatever. So.
Have you ever written a script for yourself? Like, is that something you'd ever be interested in doing?
No. I've toyed with writing scripts in the past before getting involved with film, but no, I kind of I don't have the mindset to work out how to make a film flow. I can look at somebody else's film and point out which parts don't work, but I can't. With myself, I can't. I'm not very good at doing it. Maybe I should write a short film and see.
See what it's like, and maybe you'd like the experience. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Do you still do you watch horror movies currently? Is there anything like that has stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked The Ugly Stepsister.
Yeah, that was great. We got to see it at Boston Underground Film Festival.
Yeah, and let's see, I may have jotted down a few things. I mean, Skinamarink I thought was brilliant.
Really? See, yeah, that's a very I'm not a big fan, but a lot of people.
It divides the audience. That's why it's good. That's why
I agree with that.
I thought it was an important link between. I thought it was an important way to use the sort of notion of analog horror from the internet and do a film based on that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really liked. I thought it was a really important film. I saw History of the Occult recently, the Argentinian Mexican film, which was, Late Night with the Devil before Late Night with the Devil.
Oh,
So,
really? I've not seen this. I've seen Late Night with the Devil, but I've not seen this other movie.
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Late Night with the Devil, but I thought History of the Occult was very good, and Norwegian or Danish film called Good Boy about a girl that goes
Oh,
to
with the dog.
Yes, yeah.
That I've not had a chance to see it yet, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it
Yeah.
is good. I did enjoy it.
When I saw The Ugly Stepsister, it was I don't know if it was a premiere or not, but it was at Buff, and I don't know if it was February or March, but I went in not really knowing anything, and then it was about halfway through the movie. It's like, oh, this is Cinderella, but but I went in not knowing that, so. And which was cool though. That is a big thing I like about the festivals, is you go in with very little knowledge of what the movies are about.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
I mean, there's some festivals I've seen films at festivals that have never been released on Blu-ray or DVD since then, and it's like it's kind of frustrating that.
I had the same conversation actually with Troy earlier. We went out before this interview, and I was talking about festivals, and like it's always weird to me. There'll be stuff that'll be at a festival that I really don't think anything of. I'll think it's pretty run of the mill, and it'll just like instantly pop up on Shudder or something. And then there's something I'll see and like I love, and like it'll be the only time I've ever heard of it again, or it'll be years before like it's out anywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think like Skinamarink, it has lent like much stranger movies to get like released, which is why it's also important, because people give things a chance that they might not have before.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always stranger films. You know,
Yeah, you were in one of them. So, yeah.
Jodorowsky was putting out strange films back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and yeah, I mean, Bertrand Bandinko I kind of like a lot as well. You know, French director. He did She Is Conan and After Blue and The Wild Boys. So, yeah.
It was when we were talking about Skinamarink once on the show, Annabelle and I, and we were not big fans. And well, it was someone in the chat asked us what we thought about it, and we're like, oh, we didn't really like it. And it was Jamie Hill, who's the voice of the mother in the movie. And then I felt really bad, but she was really cool and came on the show and talked to us about the movie, like what it was about. And so I need to rewatch it, honestly, because I only saw it the one time, and I saw it in the theater. And some people say it's better. It's a better movie to actually watch at home, like on a smaller screen. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Which is different than most movies. Most movies I like to watch on the
yeah. Well, so, I don't know, because like because of the way films are shot nowadays on digital, and
That's true.
people knowing that it's going to go to streaming, so that people sometimes films do feel like they're shot to be watched on TV rather than in the cinema. I think.
Where do you watch most of your films? Do you watch not the ones you're in, but like movies that you like to see? Do you watch most of them streaming? Or?
Most of them are streaming, but I still buy loads of Blu-rays and DVDs. Which is why I'm skint.
But no, it's good to support the movie, and also, you know, I like all the special features, which is
yeah. I mean, I really like Radiance and what they've been putting out, and I always have some money set aside for the Vinegar Syndrome sale. And
that's when to get the Vinegar Syndrome. And I'm a big fan of commentary tracks, which That's when I stopped getting Netflix in the mail. Is when they started doing it was like rental releases, and they didn't have anything on them. It was just the movie, and because I was still getting them in the mail, and a long time after they went to streaming. But for me anyway, that's my favorite extra is commentary tracks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like the extras, like a lot of the Deaf Crocodile and second run releases have like the short films by the same director. So that's it. And as we were talking about short films before, that's always an interesting. To me, that's my favorite kind of extra things.
Do you think instead of like an anthology, like to kind of mimic the short blocks at a festival, they could just be released as just a block of shorts and not even try to connect them into an anthology? I don't know if that would be something.
Well, I mean, there were some releases like that. I think there was the Europe 16 and World 16 that the BFI put out. That was just all short films by different directors. But yeah, I unless the directors that are well known, that people aren't really going to buy them like that.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
But it's nice seeing, even if it's not by the same director, but it's just a complementary kind of short. It's nice seeing shorts on the release of a film.
Yeah, I've even been at festivals that did that. They had the shorts block, and then they would also play a short that connected to like
the
a
main
feature.
film.
Yeah.
I think more releases should do that, but have a extra short on there.
Yeah. So you also mentioned Hex Studio, which puts out a lot of really high quality independent films. And so, how did you get connected with them?
Well, I mean, when they first released their Lord of Tears on Blu-ray or DVD, I think it was, but you could send away to them and get it, and it'd be in a handmade paper envelope with a owl feather stuck in it, and
that's pretty nice, yeah.
And so I've been sort of following them since then, and I think Laurie's a certain kind of director with his own pacing, but at the same time he's always interesting, and I like what the whole setup there are trying to do. He's trying to set up an independent studio that are making their films, and then he's bought the rights to the Amicus name, so there's going to be another strand to that, what they're doing, which is Amicus Films. So yeah, I'm in the Grip of Terror, the first of the new Amicus films that Laurie directed, and then there's Laurie directing. There's Megan Tremethick. She directed a short called Miss Mutter, and and then they put out anthologies as well. But the anthologies are all tied around the idea. Like the first one that I was in from them, For We Are Many. Mm-hmm. That was a few years ago now, and then there's For We Are Many. For We Are Many, the theme was demons, and then for We Are Many 2, the theme is Lovecraft or Lovecraftian creatures. So.
And so those are anthologies too?
Those are anthologies too, but most of what Hex do are feature films. So.
Yeah.
And now, because they've got some of the younger, like some of the students from the local area sort of working, doing small roles on the feature films. They've now kind of encouraged them to sort of set up their own production company and make their own films. So there's the B team, as they call them, which are all these kind of like 20-somethings making their own short films.
Yeah, and that's exciting because, a lot of creativity can come out of that. Like Lassie, a lot of people got their start, making movies with them and went on, like a Ty West, to do a lot of big things.
Yeah, yeah.
It said that Grip of Terror that played recently at a convention or festival.
It did. I think it was the Romford Horror Festival, and then it's going to be on at Rilla Thriller, which is a film festival in Rhyl in North Wales. So I'm going to see it there. So I'll be in attendance.
Oh, that's cool. What was it like to see the finished project for the first time?
I haven't seen.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay.
In the Grip of Terror yet. They sent me a digital download, but
I see now. Riller Thriller. I was trying to find it here, but yeah. So yeah, that hasn't happened yet. Okay.
Yeah, that's at the end of August. Yeah.
So that will that be your first time seeing it? Or are you going to wait for that?
I don't know. I might. Well, I was thinking about watching it before talking to you. I didn't get around to it. So, I don't know. I think I might hold off till the Blu-ray comes out. And then,
yeah.
If that's out before Rilla Thriller, I'll watch it. If not, I'll see it at Rilla Thriller and experience it with the audience.
Yeah. So when I don't know if you even know this. So when I made my first feature films, Once a Feature Smash and End Zone 2, so I made them with Michael Epstein and Sophia Cassiola. And Michael was really adamant that none of the cast see the finished movie until our premiere, the U.S. premiere. And they were very like, we would like to see a movie. And some were like, no, that's cool. But either way, it did make for a special showing of the movies when everyone was there and watching it for the first time.
Yeah. I think sometimes if you're just watching it on your own, you can kind of think, oh, I don't like the way I did that. I don't like, and you're just looking at your performances.
Right. And if it's with people and they're cheering you on, you're like, oh yeah, look, I did a great job here.
Yeah.
I really nailed this movie. So. But I'll share that when we get closer to that. That'll be in August for our listeners in the UK. I like the name Riller Thriller.
Yes. Yeah. It's great.
I guess as an American, I don't realize that there are so many. I fixate on what's going on here, but it's cool that there's so many conventions and festivals, wherever you are.
There's been a lot more sprung up in the last 10 years than.
Because it used to be basically like Fright Fest and maybe a couple other ones, but there's a lot popping up.
Yeah, or sort of general film festivals like the Salford Film Festival. But, yeah.
When I was in London, there's a lot of horror fans there, and they had tattoos and just really were very, just loved the genre and we're really big on independent horror films.
Yes, yeah. Thankfully. Otherwise, the British horror industry would collapse.
Eddie 007, greetings from the Netherlands again. Well, thank you for being here.
Greetings to the Netherlands.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, maybe you jumped ship to the Netherlands since last time. I'm not sure. So I know some of these things on IMDb may have never come out, or maybe they're not really being made. But there's a couple names that popped up that I was like, this sounds amazing. And one of them is Elephant Man of War. Is this?
No, that's never happened.
That's a shame because the name alone is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was Brian Stewart.
Oh yeah, I know Brian.
Yeah. Who you know? So yeah, there was different. We were thinking about doing it as a sort of animation or at one point, or doing it live action. I don't know. It was a lot of ideas, and then it never sort of got into production. So yeah,
that's too bad. Brian is another guy I haven't seen in years because I'm not really on the convention scene like that used to be for years. And then it's weird, all these people that like you just are used to seeing all the time, you just don't see them anymore.
Yeah, well, it's like I haven't been to the US for a while. I think 2016.
Oh wow!
No. No, I've been to the US since then, but I think I think like the last US convention was 2016, and then I did Crypticon a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
Yeah, they were sharing about that. I'm sorry, I forget your name, but he has the Human Centipede back tattoo.
Oh, Don Hinrich.
Yeah, Don. Yeah, Don's a good guy. I've never met him, but I know him online. Yeah. How's that? That's a convention I've actually never been to.
Oh, it's great. It's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. It was, people are great. The organisers are great. So, yeah. I'd like to. We were talking about sort of doing the Kansas City one, so I'm keeping my fingers. Every year, I keep my fingers crossed that they're going to bring me over to the Kansas City one. But
not too long ago, Eben mentioned if you were still doing conventions, so I'll bring that. I'll mention to you here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I'm with Vertical Talent, and I think Brian, the main guy, has sort of taken a step back, and somebody else, there's a young woman that's taken it over. But Brian's still part of it. But yeah, I'll wait and see.
All right.
But yes,
I'll throw your name out there to Eben.
I'll get in touch with them and tell them Eben. About it. So.
Yeah, Eben's a good man. Let's see. Does we brought this up, AD, but I do want to bring up your question since you tuning in from the Netherlands. So we already asked this about Tom Six. But.
Yeah, I haven't been in touch. Occasionally, I'll get a message or something if he's doing if he's coming to the UK or something. But yeah, haven't
Dave Deadman loves the shirt. I do too. I was kind of jealous of it in a way. So. So another one, even if this hasn't happened, I do have a question about this whole kind of idea. The Rapunzel's Revenge and the Snow White and the Seven Deadly Sins. So even if these aren't being made, I do want to know your question, your thought on the rise of these, the fairy tale movies when they're like become public domain and they make horror movies from them.
Well, okay. Well, those two are by Silent Studios, and Jason and Kirsty I like a lot, and I've done a lot of stuff with them. I'm not a fan of. I mean, I like them, but they do a lot of like zombie films, and I'm not a fan of zombie films. I'm not a fan of slashers, and I'm not a fan of public IP. It's not my bag. As a viewer, it's not my bag.
Yeah. Something like Ugly Stepsister, though, is like, you don't really think of it as that, but it sort of is. But I think, they took something and made something really different with it.
Yeah, there's a difference between taking an existing tale and giving it a different slant than making a slasher out of.
Yeah, like the Winnie the Pooh movie's just bad. I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah. Nothing against the people made it, but
it's great that it's been so successful for them. But yeah, I haven't seen it. It doesn't interest me. But
one that really surprised me, I have to say, is the Death of Snow White. This is one that really worked because again, they really just took the original story, which is kind of a horror movie anyway, and just kind of amped up the horror, and it was really surprising. In a way, I think the name was almost kind of like steered me away from watching it, but I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, all those fairy tales have really kind of dark sort of so yeah, it can be it can be done. It's just it depends if you're trying to make a bog standard horror film out of it, or whether you're actually trying to do a dark fairy tale or something. So,
yeah, some of them are just like I haven't seen like any of the Popeye ones or Bambi or something. It just that seems like a little like I don't know, but a lot of like the grim fairy tale stuff is it's very dark to begin with. So if you just
Yeah,
kind of take the source material and make a horror movie out of it, it can work.
but it's like that the Czech, I mean, 1968 version of Beauty and the Beast is just like the Beast is just a horrible kind of bird-like thing, and it kind of
Yeah.
looks horrible, and it works as a kind of horror film. It's even though it's just the traditional story of Beauty and the Beast.
hmm So you mentioned not being a big fan of zombie movies and slashers. So what drew you to horror, and what kind of horror movies do you like?
Well, I've always liked kind of dark films um, and films with fantastic kind of elements to them. So, I like sort of psychological horror. I like kind of supernatural stuff. And folk horror. I really like folk horror a lot. So, yeah, that's kind of my things. But, I've always been interested in monsters, or whether that's from Doctor Who when I was a kid, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's that, and also the fact that the horror genre, because it deals with fantastical, often it is can be work as an allegory, or a sort of metaphor for contemporary
hmm
things, whether that's AIDS and vampires and the AIDS crisis, or whether it's you know Night of the Living Dead and Vietnam, or you know racism, especially with the death of the main character at the end. So there's all these things, all Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the the death of traditional labor due to industrialization in the American heartland and unemployment there. All these things kind of do sort of feed into the kind of metaphorical language of horror. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always surprising when people will often argue on social media, like, oh, they don't like something today because it's got like social messages, and it's like, did you just not pay attention to
Yeah,
every like
yeah,
thing
yeah.
that's ever been made?
Like, especially when they'll say it about Star Trek.
I
It's
know.
like,
It's like that's like if you're going to use the term woke, you
yeah,
just look at a picture of the original cast, and it's like
yeah,
obviously like that. And
yeah,
Twilight Zone is another one that I hear people say, and it's just like, did you just
yeah.
not understand? You were a kid when you watched them, and you just didn't, understand, I guess.
But also Marvel comics. It's like
Yeah,
all the sort of anti-racism narratives in that, the whole mutants thing. It's yeah.
yeah. I've had like actual arguments with people, and again, though, the Star Trek one especially is just completely insane to me. Edie, how many filming days did Human Centipede 2 take?
I think it's about 3 weeks. I think it was kind of 16 days filming, but the odd break at weekends kind of thing. But I think they also did some shoots, some in every scene. So
Mm-hmm.
it's mainly my stuff took those 3 weeks, and then they did a couple of days of other shots, like driving the car around and scene setting and looking at the flats outside and the exteriors like that. So yeah.
Was it a really like physically demanding role?
Only in terms of like being there all day and
Yeah, for every
so,
scene.
yeah. And there was like I remember one day we were doing the flat scenes. And somebody, I think they were filming Martin's mother, but we were in the living room, and I was off camera on the couch, and I just sort of fell asleep, and I got woken up because I was snoring. But yeah.
And Troy's a big fan of monsters as well. Do you have any favorite monsters?
Uh, uh,
Because this is a broad term, I guess.
it's a broad term. I mean, I liked the creature in Hatching
Hmm.
from a couple of years ago. I like. I mean, yeah, Godzilla, obviously.
Yeah, the king of all monsters.
I like the Sea Devils in Doctor Who, the 70s ones. What else? I'm sure there's lots more. I can make.
What did you think of Godzilla -1?
Brilliant, really, really good. Yeah,
I loved it too.
Because a lot of people were raving about Shin Godzilla when that came
Mm-hmm.
out. I was so I was excited to see it, and it was a big disappointment. But I thought Godzilla -1 was fantastic.
Yeah, I honestly think it was probably my favorite Godzilla movie. I thought it was just
Yes, yeah.
because so often, especially the American, they're not particularly good anyway. But the American ones, like anytime there's humans on the screen, it's kind of like, yeah, let's just get to Godzilla already. But Godzilla -1, everything worked. The human story is very you're compelled by.
It's my favorite, like 21st century Godzilla.
Yeah, 100%. And I was so happy that it did so well because
Yes, yeah.
not to have any connection to it, but I'm always happy when something that's actually like good, people go and see as opposed to just Fast and the Furious or something.
Yeah. I've never seen a Fast and the Furious.
I haven't either, and
or a Transformers film.
I saw the first one because I grew up playing I had Transformers and GI Joes, so I only saw the first GI Joe and first Transformers. And they were very, very bad movies. And I've never seen it. I've never seen one since. The old animated Transformers is good, but the live action movie, yeah, it's not for me. But those movies, I'm always surprised because like I don't really know anyone who's like loves Transformers movies, but I guess people do because like they do very well.
Well, I mean, I've always had like friends whose kid loves the Transformers.
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah,
and it, if you're taking a child to the cinema, then it's obviously it's 1 or 2 adults plus 1 or 2 children, so that's 4 seats. Per view, as it were. So. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, not too long ago, I saw a friend of the family at I forget what we were going to see. It was a horror movie thing, but they were to see I don't know Milo and Stitch or I don't know. It was a cartoon, and they all had the popcorn box, the popcorn things of all the characters. And I was like, oh, those are cute. And he was like, yeah, they're like $25 a piece, and you have to buy one for every grandson. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, this guy paid like $500 to go see this movie.
Yeah. That he probably didn't even want to watch.
yeah, he didn't seem too into it. I saw the Galactus one, which I think it's cool that they make these collectible popcorn buckets or whatever. But the Galactus one for the Fantastic Four, it's $90, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, I don't think they've really.
They're just like this huge thing here for some reason.
They don't really do them over here. Not that I've seen, anyway.
Because the one it was before they really started to take off because they did a 20-sided dive when the Dungeons and Dragons movie came out, and I grew up playing D&D all the time, so I was like, I'd like to get that, but people were just getting them all and selling them on eBay. It became like that's when they started to become this big thing.
I liked the Nosferatu one with the coffin.
Yeah, that was the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would collect them, but I was like, I don't want to spend $90 a piece on them.
No.
Agreed, Troy. Oh yeah, the black and white version is really cool. Godzilla -1. Does Lawrence remember maybe the specific filming locations, like his mother's house and the parking space warehouse?
The warehouse was there was an artist-run space that used to be a car showroom or garage, car showroom on the Old Kent Road. The flat location was where Martin and his mother lived. That was on there's something markets in between Islington and Hackney. It's where the Dove pub is. It was kind of above a pie and mash shop across the road from the Dove pub in Islington. And what the sort of Martin's cabinet thing was in a parking garage in Wimbledon, and then the other scenes, like the first scene inside the garage, that was in a parking garage just by St. John's Wood tube station. So, yeah, I mean, there's only like 4 or 5 locations. So, yeah.
How are you doing yourself personally, like health wise?
Health-wise, well, like you, type 2 diabetes, trying to manage it with a little bit of medication and just diet, like avoiding sweets and avoiding too much carbohydrates and starch. Vaping instead of smoking. So obviously, my chest is clearer and stuff.
That's good. Same with my brother Troy here.
Yeah, not as wheezy as I was. With my AS, that's been at a plateau for years now. So that seems fine. My heart's enlarged, but I'm hoping that was just a temporary part of a temporary infection rather than anything serious. I'm waiting to hear the results because they sent me for another X-ray like 2 months later. So just waiting to see. Fingers crossed that's all right. I've got to go into the doctors for a medical anyway. So.
Well, I hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing In the Grip of Terror.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I think if you've seen Burnt Flowers or by Michael Fausti,
Michael Fausti's a good guy too.
Yes, yeah, he's. I really like work with Michael. I did Vergessen, the Vergessen section of Video Shop Tales of Terror for Michael, and Burnt Flowers, and then his new film Angel Lust in that as well. So.
Yeah, and I get to meet him at Fright Fest when I was there. I forget a few years ago now. Really cool guy. It was him and his wife, and he came out to the premiere of my movie, and and he's so I do Severed Limbs, which is like our short film festival. I started it during the pandemic, and just kept doing it because it was fun. And we show a lot of his shorts throughout the years. And
I
really
send you some shorts, then.
yeah, I definitely play them. Yeah. I try to do them every season, so 4 times a year. But sometimes I'll miss a season if something's going on. But at least a couple times a year we do them.
I'm hopefully now that Todd Schneider is in the UK. We were talking because we met up at the Sadiq Master Underground and Experimental Film Festival in Paris. Cool. So hopefully we'll be doing something with him. Yeah. Other than that, I've been working with. I do a lot of work with Sean Reynard, which it isn't horror, but it's a sort of surreal comedy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know we do the horror show, but I do watch all different types of movies. I'm not just a horror dude, but
these aren't films. He's got a YouTube channel.
Cool! I will check this out.
QTV.
All right, I'm gonna write this down. I'll include the link on when this is over.
Okay. Well, I mean, the one that you might be interested if you like. I mean, obviously, horror people might be interested in one called Quentin's Day Out. That's one of the ones I've done with Sean. But I was filming with Sean on Thursday. So,
Right. Edie says 19 movies coming up on IMDb. Very cool to see. Yeah, obviously some of them are not going to actually come out, but some of them will.
The ones that are sort of in production and have been in for production for years aren't coming out. But there's some that have been filmed and are ready to come out soon.
Yeah. IMDb's never really improved as far as like being able to take things off that like aren't coming out or that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to add anything or take it off. So I can't control what's on my.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of do, but it still doesn't matter. You can remove stuff over and over, and it does nothing half the time. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a roll of the dice, I think. So it was great to catch up with you again, and we should do this again before the release of the next movie. Because I was
going to say, did you watch Kara?
No.
I think that's on Amazon in the US.
Oh, I will watch. I would like to watch some more of this newer stuff, and we can
rent it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll rent it. Yeah.
Or it might be on Tubi or Plex or something like that. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if you're willing to come back on, relatively soon again, it would be cool to catch up on some newer stuff, and I'll watch some more of your stuff coming out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I would like to have you as a regular guest again. We used to love having you on, and it's been years now.
Well, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. So yeah, it'd be great to come back on.
Of course, yeah. All right. So yeah, we caught up to the 10th anniversary Human Centipede 3, and we'll have Laurence back on sometime in the near future. We're going to talk about some more of the newer films.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep, that sounds great.
Right. All right. Now you're on the spot. You agreed to it.
I wrote a list of all the new films I've got.
Okay. Well, would you like to let everyone know?
Oh well, I mean, some of them aren't new. Some of them are just from a few years ago. Like a little more Flesh 2 I'm in, but that's just a brief thing. Like with Gorot from Sam Hell. I'm just in a. See, the American films I'm in are just somebody contacted me saying, could you film something?
Right,
and
right.
It'll be on a video chat on screen.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in Dr. Deathface that Michael Keane did, and that's going to be out on television, Blu-ray later in the year. A little more Flesh again, like that. That was done during COVID, so it made sense. But that's on the art label available through Vinegar Syndrome at the moment. Sam Hell's film Gorot, he's got his own website for that. A Baroque House. Other than that, Witch of the Sands that Tony Martin did, that's coming out at some stage. Burnt Flowers by Michael Fausti is on the festival circuit. Angel Lust, that's coming out at some time. Secrets of a Wallaby Boy, I think you might be able to get on Amazon and stuff. That's a gay sex comedy from Manchester. And Fista, a short film by Anthony Moran. I will put that to your short film festival.
All right, sounds good, yeah.
Obviously, Kara, and then the Hex Media stuff that we talked about. Yeah, and there's other stuff, but I can leave that.
Yeah, there's even a Dieter Laser Award because when we first did the festival, I assumed it was just going to be a one and done festival. It was really like an excuse for everyone to get together, like in a chat, because we couldn't see each other. It was early on in the pandemic, and so I named all the awards off of former guests who have passed away. Yeah. And Dieter had just passed away. I think when we did the first one, and so that's the Best Actor Award, Best Male Performance is the Dieter Laser Award.
Well, obviously,
yes, which I assume would make him very happy. So.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Laurence, this has been fun, and we'll do this again soon. We'll make it a more regular thing.
Somebody will have to employ me to do a better film.
All I will let people know. By the way, how would people contact you if they would like to have you in something?
Well, if they want to sort of tentatively ask about availability and so on, I'm on Instagram as LH15mm. I'm on X as at Laurence R Harvey, Laurence R Harvey, Blue Sky, or you can find me on.
I would like to connect you to my friends at Trash Arts Films. I've known them for years, and they made like some really low budget stuff originally, and they've really improved over the years, and it's nice to see them to grow as artists. And they're in the UK, and so I'm going to connect you guys because I think you would really suit their films.
Okay,
and they're good people,
right?
And they make cool stuff.
Anything I might have heard of?
Well, their newer stuff looks really cool. I'll send you links off the air.
Okay, yeah.
Because some of their new monsters, especially, were looking very, very good. I was very happy with them.
Okay. Oh, I was been working with Gene Dolders lately. Didn't you have interviewed Gene?
Yeah. He's been on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. He's great. He's great to work with.
Dave's good to see you again, Lawrence. Fun talk. Nice seeing you both, Edie. Well, this is streaming on many different platforms. I can't pop up if you're on Facebook or Twitch or Instagram, but I appreciate you watching anywhere. But if you would like to interact on the live shows, it's best if you watch on YouTube. So hit the like button, subscribe, and all that stuff. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Lawrence.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.